This is already the 18th time the girl has transferred schools. As usual, she skillfully introduced herself, expecting to be welcomed by her classmates. However, she was met with a completely unexpected reaction. The students stared at her with death-like gazes, without any response. This situation made Xiu Zhi feel very strange, but it wasn't enough to scare her. Having transferred schools many times, fitting into a new group was as easy as breathing for her. She was also very familiar with the survival rules in school. First, she needed to avoid the ugliest students, as they were usually the ones isolated. Next, she should steer clear of the most beautiful ones, as staying near them often led to being excluded. With these points in mind, she initially chose to get along with her deskmate. But unexpectedly, her deskmate turned out to be a bullying girl, not only with long marks on her neck, but also covered with burn scars on her hands. Fortunately, the other classmates were easy to get along with, which gave Xiu Zhi new confidence in integrating into the group. At that moment, she couldn't have imagined that just a moment after her classmates waved at her kindly, their smiles would vanish the second she left the room, revealing a threatening look in their eyes. The next day, Xiu Zhi arrived at school early, determined to overcome the awkwardness of being a transfer student as quickly as possible. She eagerly joined in conversations on topics of interest, took photos, and shared lip balm like everyone else. Just when she felt she had blended into the group, something unexpected happened. In the warehouse, a girl with her hands tied and a traffic cone on her head was being used as a target by some classmates who treated her like a toy. It was only when Xiu Zhi was close that she realized this girl was the bullying girl she had identified as her deskmate. Once everything was over, Xiu Zhi, who had just started to fit in with everyone, didn't want to cause trouble but still handed a band-aid to her deskmate BR. She noticed the horrifying scars on her wrist. She tried to comfort her, saying not to do anything foolish again. Just then, a friend came looking for her, and upon seeing Xiu Zhi helping that person, her friend's face showed shock and then quickly turned to fear as she fled the scene. Her deskmate immediately asked Xiu Zhi what day it was. Thursday, she replied. Hurry back to the classroom. Xiu Zhi had a bad feeling as she walked back to the classroom with a head full of questions, unaware that she was falling into a deep. The class monitor was drawing a triangle on the blackboard, reminding everyone that the 13th pyramid game was about to start. The rules divided participants into levels based on TP votes from A to F. The top 3 vote-getters would be in the A level, and the others would have to obey them. The F level was unique, consisting of students who got 0 votes or abstained, and Xiu Zhi's deskmate was in this category, making her the target of everyone's bullying. The TP started, and everyone had 5 votes but couldn't vote for themselves or the same person multiple times. Fortunately, Xiu Zhi had made a few good friends in the class and was confident she wouldn't end up in F. 1 vote, maybe 2 if I'm lucky, she thought. Everyone completed their voting, but when Xiu Zhi saw the final results, she realized she had underestimated human malice. Getting 0 votes was a harsh lesson, plunging her into a harsh school life. Xiu Zhi became a target of bullying by the school. The other students turned a blind eye because she had received 0 votes and was classified as F. Xiu Zhi locked herself in the bathroom, intending to check her injuries for evidence but found no signs of physical harm. This realization made her understand it was all premeditated. Reporting it would likely be hopeless, so she had to find supporters to break free from the F-level bullying through mutual voting. Xiu Zhi decided to target her deskmate, Cian, for this. To gain her trust, she deliberately showed kindness to Cian in front of the others. After that, the two went to the park, and Xiu Zhi explained her mutual voting plan to Cian. However, Cian refused. However, trouble soon found her again. Back in class, the school bullies came looking for Xiu Zhi. Knowing it was her period, they found her sanitary pads in her bag and cut them into pieces in front of everyone, mocking her as they did. The bullies used every means to torment her, even wetting tissues and covering Xiu Zhi's face to simulate suffocation or putting her in a dark garbage bag to see how long she would beg for mercy. The relentless bullying nearly broke her several times. Luckily, there was one girl in the class who was different. She never participated in the bullying and always comforted Xiu Zhi, despite the risk of being excluded herself. This gave Xiu Zhi a glimmer of hope and the strength to endure. Realizing the mutual voting plan wouldn't work, Xiu Zhi decided to find the mastermind behind the game. She first targeted Yilai Lin, a popular and wealthy girl who wielded significant influence at school. Even the bullies subconsciously avoided her, making Xiu Zhi more suspicious. But before she could investigate further, the bullies forced maggots into her mouth under the pretense of providing protein. As soon as she swallowed them, her eyes filled with blood, and she broke free, vomiting on the spot. Instead of panicking, she keenly observed every move. When the bullies glanced fearfully behind them, her suspicion that Yi Lin was the mastermind was confirmed. However, the next moment, the bullies started humming a tune that made Xiu Zhi doubt her conclusions again. It turned out that Xiu Zhi being transferred to this class was orchestrated by this seemingly gentle and elegant rich girl. On the surface, she appeared to be a refined new face, but behind the scenes, she was the mastermind of the school's bullying pyramid. To assert her superiority, she had established the tiered pyramid game in the class. Once someone was relegated to the F level, they became a justified target for bullying. "This is truly paradise," Xia Lin said, revealing all her malice on her face. She played the saint by helping bully Xiu Zhi, using it to highlight her own superiority. To her, showing sympathy for the weak was a posture that the upper class should adopt. But Xiu Zhi had seen through her hypocrisy long ago. Confronting her now would only invite more trouble. Seeing how everyone feared and avoided Xia Lin confirmed for Xiu Zhi that she was indeed the mastermind. She noticed the surveillance cameras had been removed, and their class was the only one in the entire building. This suggested that even the school administration was involved. Upon investigating, she discovered that most of her classmates came from wealthy and influential families. Even more suspicious was their connection to Xia Lin's family, indicating that the existence of the pyramid game had a reasonable explanation. The students participated, risking being bullied, because they or their families benefited from it in some way. Understanding the situation, Xiu Zhi decided to confront Xia Lin, pretending to seek advice on the purpose of the game. She tries to conceive Xia Lin, but she refused. This confirmed that Xia Lin was even more frightening than Xiu Zhi had imagined. Any hope of persuading her to stop the game was immediately dashed. Xiu Zhi could only look for allies to mutually vote each other out of the F level. Meanwhile, Xia Lin, angered by Xiu Zhi's probing, summoned Xin to the principal's office. She burned Xi's eye with a cigarette until she begged for mercy, promising to obey Xia Lin and pleading for Xiu Zhi to be spared. This only made Xia Lin angrier, pressing the cigarette into Xi's hand. Despite the excruciating pain, Xin dared not resist, knowing that Xia Lin's family controlled the entire school, even the principal. As Xian fled from Xia Lin's grasp, Xiu Zhi found her. "I don't know what I did wrong. Every day at school is like hell. I can't talk to my father about it. I'm sorry, but I can't hold on any longer. I just want to be free from this. So I want to ask you for a favor. Let's vote for each other." Despite her tearful and pitiful act, Xian still refused to agree. Seeing the fresh burn mark on Xian's palm, Xiu Zhi cautiously asked, "Just in case, you don't have a tendency for self-harm, do you?" With her plan failing again, Xiu Zhi was running out of time. If she didn't find a solution before the next game, she would remain at the bottom as the F level, subjected to more bullying. Desperation set in, but she noticed hope in her senior, Mei Xin. However, the class president warned her not to involve anyone else. Xiu Zhi couldn't worry about the teacher losing their job now. Any hope was worth a try. Unfortunately, she misunderstood the class president's advice, leading to another harsh lesson. So Xiu Zhi went to the infirmary with the teacher. She shared her bullying ordeal, and the teacher, seemingly remorseful, promised to help. The teacher took out a phone to document evidence, but a sense of foreboding overwhelmed Xiu Zhi. As the teacher glanced at the boiling water, Xiu Zhi realized the danger and tried to escape, only to be slapped by the teacher. Fortunately, Xian arrived just in time, and they managed to escape to the rooftop. Xiu Zhi learned the teacher was actually a blackmailer who collected evidence to extort the bullies' parents for hush money, leaving the whistleblowers to face even worse retaliation. Xian's friend had been the previous victim of such extortion. Realizing the depth of the school's corruption, Xiu Zhi made a bold decision. "If the school is this dark, let's expose everything," she said, inviting Xian to join her fight once more. This time, their mutual voting wasn't just to escape the F level but to destroy the entire game system. She and Xian didn't anticipate that despite their mutual votes, someone else would still end up as F level. To their surprise, the bespectacled girl was betrayed by her friend and became the new F. This time, Xiu Zhi jumped from F to C level with 5 votes, but this left her uneasy. Logically, her and Cin's mutual votes should only give her one vote, so what was the intent behind the remaining 4 votes? Xialin noticed the results too, her expression darkening. Cin, usually obedient, had slipped from her control, an insult to Xialin's status as a wealthy heiress. Meanwhile, the bespectacled girl's nightmare began as she became the new F, naturally turning into everyone's target for bullying. Cin, feeling sorry, approached Xiu Zhi to help her. But Xiu Zhi showed no interest. Xiu Zhi's status change meant classmates started treating her better. When she dropped her pen, a girl who previously stomped on it now obediently picked it up. Yet this only made Xiu Zhi more uneasy. She knew one of her extra votes came from Yulin, but who were the other 3 from? To find out, Xiu Zhi devised a plan. She questioned the game's authenticity, leading the class to retally votes on paper. She then swapped her prepared slips and compared handwriting to identify the other voters. Soon, she found out that Xialin and 2 school bullies had voted for her. Realizing she couldn't remain passive, Xiu Zhi decided to act. If she didn't, she would fall into Xialin's hypocritical trap, ending up thoroughly defeated. One day, the bullies tormented the bespectacled girl again. Unable to watch any longer, Cin intervened, redirecting their wrath towards herself. Fortunately, Xialin intervened, reminding them that Cin was no longer F-level, so they couldn't bully her. Seizing the opportunity, Xiu Zhi threw her pen at Xialin, pretending it was an accident meant to wake up the pretend Saint Cin. Her action was a public declaration of war against Xialin, aiming to win back Cin's trust and offer hope to the bespectacled girl suffering daily torment, ready to fight against the oppressive game and its cruel creator. Consequently, the Alliance of Victims was officially formed. The bespectacled girl revealed what she knew: the game wasn't originally created to divide students into levels, but to vote for the most popular students who wouldn't have to do chores. Over time, the game morphed into a hierarchy where higher-level students looked down on lower-level ones, eventually leading to justified bullying. Hearing this, Xiu Zhi became even more determined to break down the game. She planned to exploit everyone's desire to rise in rank, organizing 3D levels to mutually vote each other into C level. This would disrupt the pyramid structure, causing the game to collapse naturally. Once everything was set, Xiu Zhi approached the class leader. She had noticed Xiu Zhi swapping votes earlier but didn't expose her, suggesting she too disapproved of the game. Xiu Zhi shared her plan to form a D-level alliance and asked for Dao Ya's help, but she was met with a swift rejection. Dao Ya had wanted to reject the game from the start, but was forced to participate due to her family's business ties with Xialin's family. This was why she couldn't step out of her circle. Meanwhile, Xiu Zhi identified another potential ally: the programmer girl who created the game's software. She hoped to leverage the programmer's dissatisfaction with being stuck at D level to gain her cooperation. However, approaching directly would arouse suspicion, so she sent Cin to make contact first. Just then, the programmer girl received a message and hurriedly left, with Cin following. To her shock, she was led straight to Xialin. Sensing danger, Xiu Zhi frantically tried to contact Cin, knowing Xialin would extract their plan once they met. She realized the programmer girl came from an ordinary family, making her helpless to Xialin's manipulation. At a PTA meeting, a young officer in uniform caught everyone's attention. Though a lieutenant colonel, he was still outclassed by the wealthy parents present. A teacher approached him with an unexpected question. Though it's impolite, "There's bullying in class 2 to 5, the teacher said, revealing that just days ago, Xiu Zhi had formed an alliance to disrupt the bullying game by coordinating mutual votes among D levels. However, their plan was discovered early by Xialin, who saw this as an opportunity to teach them a lesson. Dropping her facade, Xialin revealed her true nature, lighting a cigarette. The 3 allies met on the rooftop. Knowing their plan was exposed and time was running out, they needed more information about their classmates to proceed. A chance encounter that night brought a breakthrough when they recognized the convenience store clerk as someone with a hidden identity. Despite the danger, Xiu Zhi and her allies prepared to face Xialin head-on, determined to end the cruel game once and for all. Yulai had been a classmate but was forced to drop out due to severe bullying from being at the bottom of the game's hierarchy. Unable to bear the torment, she became an isolate, never stepping outside her home. Her brother had infiltrated the school to gather evidence and seek justice for his sister. Discovering he was a notorious hacker, Xiu Zhi boldly invited him to join their cause. Understanding their goal to dismantle the game that had ruined his sister's life, he agreed without hesitation. Now only one target remained before they could collapse the game's hierarchy. Xiu Zhi had identified the perfect candidate and held a crucial secret over them. However, trouble arose when the bespectacled girl, fleeing bullies, was cornered in the bathroom by her former friend. Pretending concern, the friend, under Xiu Lin's influence, sowed seeds of doubt about Xiu Zhi, warning her that she might be betrayed. Meanwhile, Yin approached Xiu Zhi. Having seen the bespectacled girl crying in the bathroom, she suspected the truth and sought to help, but Xiu Zhi, wary from past betrayals, denied everything and walked away. On the rooftop, Xiu Zhi confronted the bespectacled girl, angry for involving the teacher. The bespectacled girl, feeling misunderstood, accused Xiu Zhi of ignoring her difficulty like everyone else. The bespectacled girl, overcome with shame, fled. Xiu Zhi, realizing her words were too harsh, felt a pang of guilt. Meanwhile, in the military office, Xiu Zhi's father was about to review a proposal from Xiu Lin's family when a call from the school came in, inviting him to the parent-teacher conference. Principal expressed a desire for his presence. In the school bathroom, the bespectacled girl cried alone again, only to be unexpectedly comforted by Xiu Lin. In a surprising turn, the bespectacled girl admitted her mistakes to Xiu Zhi, promising to be braver and not seek help again. This sudden change made Xiu Zhi suspicious. As Xian approached, she caught a glimmer of Xiu Lin's unusual cigarette smell on the bespectacled girl. Their trust wavered, but the plan couldn't be abandoned. Xiu Zhi needed to counteract the game with a new strategy. She approached Yi Lin, a popular classmate who secretly opposed the game but was blackmailed by Xiu Lin into participating. Xiu Zhi had a suspicion that the leverage was Yi Lin's deskmate, Shen Yanzhen. With this secret in hand, Xiu Zhi pressured Yi Lin to aim for F grade in the next game. Days earlier, the bespectacled girl, whom Xiu Zhi had blackmailed, posted a distressing message in the class group chat. "I'm so tired. Xiu Zhi, will you only stop if I die? Fine, I'll go. Please everyone forgive me." Sensing imminent danger, Xiu Zhi rushed to the classroom, but it was too late. The girl, determined to escape the torment, cut her arm. Luckily, classmates intervened, preventing a deeper injury. Nonetheless, the scene shifted the blame onto Xiu Zhi, casting her as the bully. Standing amidst the chaos, Xiu Zhi realized that Xiu Lin had meticulously directed this downfall. Yin and Mei informed Charlotte of the incident where she was caught, but Charlotte directly turned the tables, instructing Yin and Mei to play the role of the victim to gain sympathy and counteract Xiu Zhi, causing her to be excluded by classmates. Xiu Zhi's father and several other parents unexpectedly appeared behind her at this moment. They originally came for the open class, but witnessed the scene before them. Xiu Zhi's father interrogated her about what was going on, but unexpectedly Charlotte intervened, falsely claiming it was just a minor misunderstanding among friends that they could handle themselves. Like this, Charlotte's mother, with her high social status, escorted everyone out. Meanwhile, inside the classroom, the trial of Xiu Zhi began because she violated the rules of the game and bullied classmates below F grade, thus being deprived of TP rights in the next TP. This meant Xiu Zhi could no longer vote with others, causing the D-grade alliance she painstakingly built to collapse and disrupting the pyramid game's balance, leading to its own downfall. Xiu Zhi pressed Yin and Mei for answers on what she did to her, but this unexpected question left her speechless. Seeing this, Charlotte quickly confused the situation, proposing that everyone decide the outcome using TP. Outside the door, parents watched as those inside voted by raising their hands, praising the children for resolving the situation in a proper manner. However, teacher Yin, not thinking so, criticized everyone, asking if this was a public trial. Seeing the indifferent parents, teacher Yin immediately tried to enter the room but was stopped by Charlotte's mother. Xiu Zhi was puzzled as to what methods Charlotte used and how she managed to win over everyone. Next, the open class officially began. Surprisingly, Charlotte invited parents to participate in the pyramid game and explained that TP results would determine grades. Worried this matter would escalate, mothers quickly intervened, but the class teacher also diplomatically intervened. However, at this moment, Charlotte's wealthy grandmother arrived at the classroom, signaling her granddaughter could continue. She could also be called the lower class. After hearing this, all the parents dared not deny a single word. It can be completely seen that Charlotte's wealthy grandmother is indeed a tough presence. Pressured by various factors, everyone started participating in the game, except for Xiu Zhi's father, who stood awkwardly on the spot. As expected, Xiu Zhi became an F grade in this game, which Charlotte referred to as the lower class. Seeing their children not in the ZD grade, parents collectively breathed a sigh of relief. Only Xiu Zhi's father looked troubled as he gazed at his daughter, then solemnly spoke about his understanding of grades. Even Charlotte's grandmother regarded her more highly for this. Then she slowly walked towards Xiu Zhi's father and said, "Your daughter is quite spirited. In the future, you can confidently entrust her to our Beiyan group." However, all of this was actually directed by class monitor Daya, who helped Charlotte accurately predict Xiu Zhi's moves. But Xiu Zhi never gave up. She found Yilin and began a new plan. The first step was to dethrone Charlotte using her leakage of game content to parents as a reason to strip her of TP rights. But Charlotte responded by asking classmates if they agreed, knowing full well that no one dared respond. Everyone is conducting an anonymous voting, and so everyone started the anonymous TP. With just a 2-vote difference, Xiao Lin was successfully judged. This was her second time being severely criticized in front of everyone. Originally, everything seemed to be heading in a positive direction. But the next day, Yilin was exposed for using her family's partnership to get selected by the management company. Yet, at this time, Big Face Sister dared to mock at her. This instantly enraged Shen Yinjin, who had always regarded Yilin more important than life itself. She slapped Big Face Sister without hesitation. Shen Yinjin, who would instantly lose control and retaliate against anyone who harmed Yilin, greatly enjoyed this kind of manipulation and applause, but who knew that at this moment, Xian unexpectedly stepped forward and restrained the out-of-control Yinjin. But at this moment only Xiu Zhi knew that all of this was instigated by Xiaolin to have Dark Sister do it. When she secretly investigated the class members, she found that the photo was uploaded under Dark Sister's name, a social media account specifically used to smear Yilin. However, Xiaolin went to such lengths for another purpose. She wanted to use Yinzhen's hand to find out who in the class had the TP device that could threaten herself. Sure enough, Yinzhen did not disappoint her expectations and soon discovered SX above the blackboard. Upon seeing this, Xiaolin also proposed that as long as the memory card was produced, the identity of the TP user could be known. However, this made Xiu Zhi, who was nearby, uneasy. SX was actually placed there by her to retain evidence. She also guessed that she should have been betrayed by her supporter. Just as Xiu Zhi anxiously considered how to defend herself, Teacher Yin unexpectedly barged in at this moment and took all the blame upon herself. She then snatched SX without hesitation and crushed it in front of everyone, as expected. Because of the violation, Teacher Yin was expelled from school. Colleagues who were only interested in personal gain mocked her for her loss. Although Teacher Yin lost her prideful job, what those who turned a blind eye lost was their human conscience. As she stepped out of the school gates, Xiu Zhi was already waiting there. Teacher Yin felt sorry for her own powerlessness. She had tried collecting evidence to pressure the principal, but every attempt was met with evasion. In desperation, she even threatened to report to the education department. But unexpectedly, Xiaolin approached her in the principal's name. Going through this ordeal made Teacher Yin even more aware of what Xiu Zhi was facing alone. How could a child confront such things on her own? This made her, as a teacher, feel deeply guilty. Before leaving, she left her phone number, hoping that Xiu Zhi could find some help. After seeing off the teacher, Xiu Zhi began to investigate the supporters who had betrayed her. She had only told Xian about the SX incident, so finding this person wasn't difficult. It was Glass's sister, who learned about it from Xian. When Xiaolin mentioned the TP device, only Glass's sister and Dark Sister showed no surprise. So the answer was clear. Glass's sister couldn't deny and didn't explain her reasons for betrayal. However, this twist also hindered Xiu Zhi's plan once again. She had planned to deliberately drop to grade F in this game, then use SX to collect evidence of her bullying. But this plan was too risky. Xian admired Xiu Zhi's bravery. In her heart she understood better than anyone what dropping to grade F meant. If it were herself, she wouldn't have had such courage. On the other hand, Xiaolin sent a message to a stranger's number. It stated that tomorrow's game would make Xian drop to grade F. Then, she picked up a crystal chess piece and smashed it, as if foreshadowing something. At this moment, Xiaolin's father returned from the company. He and his wife discussed whether to send their daughter abroad. But unexpectedly, after hearing this, his wife whispered in his ear, "Xiaolin, there's evidence you transferred funds through Beiyan Girls' High School. Don't push her too hard." In the blink of an eye. It was the 15th Golden Pyramid game. Xiu Zhi and Xiaolin's rough rivalry quietly unfolded as their fingertips touched the screen. However, the results surprised everyone. This time, no one dropped to grade F. Yilin successfully rose from grade B to grade A. The only one who dropped to grade B was the messy-haired sister, who reacted immediately, questioning if she hadn't used her TP correctly. There was also a hidden helper, the normally hidden and careless sister, who unexpectedly went from a low grade to grade A in this TP. However, at this moment, Xiaolin remained silent with her head down. She couldn't understand why Xiu Zhi couldn't use TP, yet Cian received 2 votes. It turned out that all of this was Xiu Zhi's plan. She guessed that Xiaolin wanted to eliminate Cian and had already discussed countermeasures with Yilin. Xiu Zhi was afraid that the infatuated sister would turn against her at a critical moment, so she instructed Yilin to give votes to herself, Cian, and Glass's sister. This ensured that no one would drop to grade F. Then, she instructed Yilin to tell their friends not to TP Yinjin, thereby increasing suspicion about their relationship, allowing her to reclaim her position as Class 5's idol. After everything ended, Yinjin ran to find Yilin, but unexpectedly, Yilin warned her to stay away, stating she didn't want others to misunderstand their relationship and certainly didn't want to jeopardize her dream of debuting. To fulfill Yinjin's wishes, Yilin silently decided to hide her feelings. However, that night, seeing Xiu Zhi tired out, Yinjin hesitantly leaned towards her, but after a moment's hesitation, she chose to walk away. At this point, Xiu Zhi was no longer black herself, and she apologized to Dark's sister who had previously threatened her, and then greeted Glass's sister who had betrayed her. Looking at the long-lost peace in the class, Xiu Zhi mentioned that in the last game no grade F appeared, and everyone became less oppressive because of it. She even suggested abolishing the Golden Pyramid game directly in front of Xiaolin and let the classmates who supported her send messages to herself. However, the effect was evident. No classmates sent support messages to Xiu Zhi. Fortunately, they had already thought of the next plan to not let Xiaolin remain so superior. Everyone, including Xiaolin, would have to participate in DS hygiene, just like everyone else. Xiu Zhi did this to let classmates know that even Xiaolin couldn't dominate everything. Since Xiaolin's goal was to pigeonhole Xian into grade F, Xiu Zhi's task was to oppose this. Who knew that just when she felt success was within reach, her father's transfer order shattered all of Xiu Zhi's fantasies. In a week, she would follow her father to a new city. On one hand, she wanted to leave here and return to a normal high school life. However, the only thing Xiu Zhi could think of now was to try her best to destroy the structure of the game. Next, she asked Yilin, as the leader, to propose that if there were no grade F in the next game, it would be better to cancel the privileges of grade A as well. After all, without grade F to protect against higher-level bullying, grade A would become useless. Originally, Xiu Zhi expected this plan to face significant resistance, but unexpectedly, Xiaolin directly agreed. After everything was over, Xiu Zhi came to Xian's house, helped her fix the blocked water pipes, and made her favorite instant noodles. Farewell was on her lips, but Xiu Zhi swallowed it down. At this moment, Xian's phone suddenly rang. Xiu Zhi unintentionally saw that it was Xiaolin calling Xian out, so she seized the opportunity to ask about their past. She then learned that they had been close friends since elementary school. But later, for some unknown reason, Xiaolin began to bully Xian. Meanwhile, Xiaolin sat in a car headed somewhere unknown. She clicked on the profile picture and saw a bowl of happiness-filled instant noodles. Instantly, Xiaolin felt like she had lost everything. Soon it was evening. Xian was chatting with her mother about SP, but unexpectedly heard an unexpected name. By the way, Susan came here during the day. Xian nervously threw her phone on the ground. From what I guess, Susan should be Xiaolin's previous name. The next day, Xian stopped going to school. Several friends called one after another, but she didn't answer the phone. In the evening, as Xiu Zhi returned home, she unexpectedly encountered the officer upstairs who managed her father's transfer orders. Looking at the symbol with Xiaolin's family group logo on the officer's pocket, Xiu Zhi instantly understood everything. Why the transfer order came so perfectly timed, and why Xiaolin was confident there would be grade F next round. It turns out money was controlling everything. Unwilling to accept her fate, Xiu Zhi called Xiaolin, but to her surprise, Xiaolin hung up directly. Then she questioned Xian. "Do your parents know what you did to me?" But Xian only kept apologizing. Enraged, Xiaolin pulled out a lighter and scorched Xian's hand. Luckily, Xiu Zhi rushed over at that moment. The rich girl organized a game that intensified campus conflict. She changed the end-of-term sports assessment to a dodgeball game and arranged everyone according to their ranks. Those with D ranks were designated as targets for everyone else. As long as they were hit, points could be scored. Getting a total of 6 points led to elimination. This rule undoubtedly publicly executed the 4 people with D ranks in the class. Nearly everyone in the class became perpetrators in this bullying game, which made Xiu Zhi feel uneasy. As an A-level student, she proposed adding more targets to make all 12 D-level students targets. However, Xiaolin had to accept Yilin's suggestion in front of the whole class. So the game began like this. The peaceful gym instantly turned into a brutal arena. Close friends disregarded their bonds and former friends tore each other apart. Even sworn sisters who once vowed to live and die together threw elbows and pushed each other aside to aim at small dodgeballs. This ugly side of human nature was what Xiaolin wanted everyone to see, warning them not to disobey the pyramid game and quietly entering everyone's hearts with the level system. At this moment, the dodgeball fell into Xiu Zhi's hands, but instead of throwing it wildly like everyone else, she stopped and gradually restored calm among everyone. Then, with a gentle touch, she tapped Programming Sister. Instantly, everyone seemed to realize something. They had turned themselves into monsters. Then, following Xiu Zhi's lead, the classmates scored as humans. However, unexpectedly at this moment, green-haired sister suddenly exploded. To ensure the game went as Xiaolin had planned, she ignored the level system and aimed at Yilin's dodgeball. But this act undoubtedly slapped Xiaolin in the face in front of everyone. Green-haired sister just disrespected Yilin, who is an A-level student. The situation began to lean in my favor until the evaluation period ended. Classmates sent messages to Xiu Zhi expressing willingness to help her abolish the pyramid scheme. This delighted the resolute few. To celebrate their complete victory, they went to the rooftop, greedily enjoying the long-lost peacetime. On the other hand, green-haired girl was in a sorry state, constantly apologizing for her flightiness. However, this time, Charlene didn't give her a chance. Meanwhile, Xiu Zhi received a message from Charlene containing a photo of her father and Charlene's grandmother shaking hands, with the caption, "Did you also collect evidence today?" This instantly sent shivers down Xiu Zhi's spine, realizing her methods had long been noticed by Daya. Just then, Charlene sent another message, containing an article about a military colonel transferring his daughter to a certain high school to connect with business networks, along with an investment plan from Charlene's family on the table. Xiu Zhi knew she had once again lost to Yan. Unexpectedly, someone with ill intentions pushed her from behind into the water. Just then, Xian, who had just expressed fear of water, impulsively fell down into the water. After Charlene was rescued from the shore, she didn't immediately try to identify the assailant still present. Instead, she falsely claimed she accidentally fell into the pool. At that moment, the homeroom teacher arrived and showed exaggerated concern for Charlene's condition. It turns out that just moments ago, Charlene, in order to make those opposed to her betray each other, used loved ones of the opposing side as leverage. However, the target chosen by Dai was Xiu Zhi. Immediately after that, she extended her claws towards the absorbed girl. Charlene seized on her peculiar interest in TP muscles and revealed that her brother was about to apply for a lawyer, and it was a coincidence that the interviewer turned out to be a consultant to her family's consortium. The implication was obvious. ZH was the only one left who was about to make her debut, Arlen, and she cared about Silver True. Arlen suddenly gave up on the swimming competition she was proud of. Later that night, the classmates gathered to release Sky Lanterns, temporarily setting aside their daily conflicts and finally relaxing for a moment. However, as soon as it all ended, Arlen and the infatuated girl received messages from Charlene instructing them to act according to her commands in tomorrow's game. On the other hand, Xian received a call from MMD claiming she had already reached the hotel downstairs. But who knew that Charlene had orchestrated everything, bringing Xian's mother here? After seeing off Xian's mother, Charlene said, "Did you just hear Auntie say you were Suen's friend? That's why you jumped into the water without hesitation to save me." Xian listened with a heart full of distress and tried to persuade her not to involve others anymore. But little did she know, Charlene told her it was too late. Xiu Zhi's father had long become her pawn, so Xiu Zhi had no choice but to betray her to protect her family. All the recorded evidence was destroyed. Soon it was Dr. Day, and the class organized a shooting game, similar to when they checked in, with 5-5 teams. However, Messy Sister suggested adding individual matches. Those hit more than 3 times would be punished, and she ominously hinted that the penalties would be severe. Everyone knew Messy Sister was backed by Charlene, so no one dared to object. The game started in an atmosphere of unknown fear. Everyone fought desperately to avoid punishment, moving cautiously, crawling, and shooting at points. Even a mosquito passing by would get hit twice. However, at that moment, the classmates received a message simultaneously. After reading it, they all stopped their hands, putting an end to the game. Meanwhile, Xiu Zhi noticed Xian wasn't feeling well and asked her what had happened. But Xian changed the subject and suggested they should split up for the next game. After saying that, she deliberately avoided Xiu Zhi. At the same time, Arlen encountered Silver True. Just as the two were about to clear things up, Arlen was suddenly ambushed. Then more paintballs came from all directions. Fortunately, Silver True shielded her with open arms, but she received more than 3 hits and became the target of punishment. On Xiu Zhi's side, she encountered Yu Yi. After firing her gun, Yu Yi disappeared, only to reappear in front of her the next second, pressing Xiu Zhi down like a madman. At the critical moment, Xiu Zhi grabbed a straw and threw it, then countered with a knee to kick her opponent away. Then she picked up a gun and prepared to end her game. Meanwhile, in the path, Charlene also eliminated Xian. Xian continued to silently bear his anger as usual, while Charlene showed no gratitude at all. She even mocked Xian for being afraid of herself while carrying a sense of guilt. The game ended. In Xiu Zhi's team, apart from Arlen, everyone was eliminated. It turned out that the message the classmates received was sent by Charlene. Its content was about the people in black vests. Unexpectedly, Glasses Girl was also wearing a black bow armor. Yulin deceived her before the game. After the punished individuals were identified, Messy Sister hoped the class leader would convene an emergency meeting to select an F level from these individuals. This was the heavier game punishment mentioned earlier. Arlen was about to raise an objection, but Charlene directly opposed it and suggested everyone decide using the TP method. However, the result was as expected. Almost the entire class agreed, so the F level would be selected from these 5 individuals. The game that determined the outcome was called Prisoner's Dilemma. By exposing each other's misdeeds, they could fire a shot. Initially, everyone held the gun up because before the competition, several people received a message from Charlene. Holding the handle in their hands threatened to betray each other. The purpose was to isolate Xian again. After a brief standoff, Xian decided to sacrifice himself and put down the gun. Seeing this, everyone tacitly stopped the confrontation. But just then, it turned out that Glasses Girl was shooting at herself. However, the remaining few did not choose to betray because they had confessed their injustices the night before. Infatuated Sister would rather have her brother unemployed than betray her friends. Arlen also said that despite knowing how hard she had worked for her debut, she wouldn't give up her dream so easily. "I don't have a friend like Yin Zhen." Then Jilin picked up the phone and asked Yin Zhen in front of her, "Did you hear that?" Xiu Zhi didn't delete the recording. The few people who trusted each other turned the gun toward themselves. In this way, Charlene lost to them once again, losing to the lower classes she had always looked down on, losing the friendship she had always longed for. Messy Sister, sensing Charlene's anger, fearing she might be affected, quickly provoked Green-Haired Girl, saying if they didn't act now, they would all be finished. However, Green-Haired Girl, who seemed foolish, was actually genuinely foolish and immediately rushed forward, intending to settle the few people who embarrassed Charlene. At that moment, Yin Zhen stepped forward, but Green-Haired Girl, driven by fear and already irrational, paid no heed and aimed a blow at Yin Zhen, only to have a steel nail in the wall pierced through her leg. Everyone present was instantly stunned, except for Charlene, who looked on coldly as the other person wailed in agony. Yin Zhen was rushed to the hospital. Rumors forced Arlen not to go with her. Fortunately, Xian recognized her helplessness and warmly took her hand. When Charlene's mother rushed to the school upon hearing the news, she ordered the principal to suppress the matter and was relieved to learn that Yin Zhen was a sponsored student. On the other hand, Messy Sister sensed that the situation was getting out of control and advised Charlene to cancel the pyramid game while she had the chance. She suggested bullying directly without Charlene's intervention, saying they could target anyone she disliked. However, Charlene insisted on continuing with the pyramid game. It turned out that this was a method her teacher had used on her when she was young, burying her childhood shadows deeply. As a result, Charlene had suffered legitimate bullying under the guise of games. However, her good friend, Xian, chose to coldly observe, which was the knot Charlene had been unable to untie all along. So she mimicked this method to let Xian experience her pain firsthand. Yet the lively and cheerful Charlene from the past forever remained at that school. At the same time, Charlene's father learned of the incident and knew it was only a matter of time before the truth came out. He found his mother and hoped she could send Charlene away. In the hotel, Xiu Zhi came to find Charlene and saw no remorse on her face. Xiu Zhi questioned why she could be so cold-hearted. However, Charlene replied, "Don't ask me about this kind of thing. Go ask Xian, and you'll have your answer that night." The homeroom teacher received instructions from the principal to control the students' mouths. The matter concerning Yin Zhen couldn't be discussed further, and Green-Haired Girl was arbitrarily punished with 2 months of corridor duty. At this moment, Yilin received a message saying that Yin could no longer continue to participate in the competition. In addition, The brazen attitude of Lu Maomai after escaping punishment indicated that she would send her family's maid to clean up the corridor. Yilin could no longer control her anger and rushed forward, preparing to tear Lu Maomai apart. Xiu Zhi knew that if this continued, Yilin would definitely be criticized, possibly even jeopardizing her debut opportunity. Thinking of this, she walked forward and firmly held Yilin's hand. Just then, Charlotte suddenly sent a message. Grade A announcement in progress tomorrow. There will be punishment results for Lu Maomai. The campus began to popularize a chat app gossiping that Yin was destroyed by Lu Maomai and ended her career. At this time, the class was about to announce the punishment result for Lu Maomai, but unexpectedly the class teacher broke in and announced that Lu Maomai had been forcibly transferred to a Kai office. Lu Maomai vented her anger like crazy, but the class teacher remained unmoved. It turns out that the chat app was made by Xiu Zhi's hacker brother to spread Lu Maomai's crimes. She knew that adults could block news but could not intercept private gossip. On the other side, Charlotte found her mother and angrily demanded that she cancel Lu Maomai's transfer. Just then, Charlotte's grandmother walked in. The two instantly suppressed their emotions and put on a different face. After asking about her daughter-in-law's handling results, Grandma looked meaningfully at Charlotte. Better than school to practice all kinds of life's ups and downs. You can't disappoint me. After listening to Grandma's warning, Charlotte dared not say much. Instead, she redirected her anger towards Xian. Charlotte picked up scissors, slowly lifted them, and in the next moment, cut off her own hair. She then used this to threaten Xian. If her game was ruined by them, she would blame Xiu Zhi for it. Instant childhood memories flashed through Xian's mind, conflicting with the bullying she had suffered herself. Despite this, Xian decided to listen to Charlotte. She didn't want to involve anyone else and chose to bear it alone. When Xian returned home, she saw Xiu Zhi's father had been affected by the repercussions. Shortly after, her mother picked up the phone and said that Charlotte had told her about the incident, questioning her daughter if she really did that to her friend. This series of events instantly crushed Xian, who cried bitterly while repeatedly apologizing. Dr. Tian came to school. Xiu Zhi noticed her puzzled eyes. She intended to show kindness but was warned by Xian not to interfere. This left Xiu Zhi somewhat puzzled as to why Xian had reverted to her old self. Just then, Charlotte walked in, unexpectedly with her hair cut short. Combining this with the broken hair on Xian's shoes, Xiu Zhi seemed to instantly realize something. After school, she went to the convenience store and talked to the hacker brother about Xian's abnormal behavior, suggesting that Xian seemed deliberately avoiding her. After hearing this, the hacker brother took out a recording and put it on the table. It turned out he had installed QT software on Xian's phone. Xiu Zhi finally understood that Xian was being threatened by Charlotte. Then the hacker brother took out news about Xiu Zhi's father, involving improper dealings with a partnership. Xiu Zhi was not ready to give up. She first selected a few people who might stand by her side, then placed notes in their desks after school. The content asked if they would help anonymously. However, Xiu Zhi never imagined the results would exceed her expectations. 7 people actually agreed to join them. Combined with the previous 5-person team, now more than half of the class wanted to break down the game. Xiu Zhi mentioned there were even more who might join when the game started. If over half of the people abandoned TP together, as Charlotte always underscored, this game belonged to everyone and would cease to exist without everyone's participation. Yilin remarked that this tactic required mutual trust and treated uncontrollable human nature as Xiu Zhi's trump card. However, Xiu Zhi claimed it was inspired by someone else. Soon, the celebration began. Yilin and the members danced passionately on stage, prompting the surrounding crowd to cheer wildly. However, unexpectedly, she burst into tears instead of acknowledging the cheers. She was completely unaware that she had caught the attention of a little bear. Meanwhile, it was time for the TP of the pyramid game. All the students returned to the classroom except for Xiu Zhi and Yilin. Instead, Lu Maomai burst into the classroom, shouting that she had not been transferred and was still a member of the class. Suddenly, the sound of an ambulance came from outside the window. Yilin found herself being carried away on a stretcher. It turns out that just now Charlotte proposed to select a fixed F level, which meant that this person would always be the target of reasonable bullying. Upon hearing this, the students began to worry, fearing they might be chosen by everyone. Just then, Xiu Zhi angrily walked in and pushed Charlotte behind the blackboard on the podium, asking her, "Are you satisfied now? Because of your selfish desires, you've created this game." Yuli became an isolate, never leaving her house. Xian had cut her wrists several times. Yin Zhen even ended her proud career, and now Yilin's life hung in the balance. Xiu Zhi knew Charlotte was willing to use this tough approach to fix Xian at F level, but Xiu Zhi wouldn't let her attempts succeed easily. She immediately began to question Charlotte's fairness, pointing out that she hadn't followed through on punishing Lu Mamami, making it difficult for everyone to trust her. You can fix one person at F level all you want, but as a player in the game, I also have the right to question. This standoff continued with neither side yielding. Xiu Zhi knew this couldn't go on, so she suggested a TP vote as usual. Anyone who doesn't want to participate in this crazy game among you, please uninstall the program and stand up. Then Xiu Zhi began to mobilize everyone, questioning who among those present wanted to choose who would become the F level. Is it your close friend who you've been together with day and night behind you, or your desk mate who has been by your side? Anyway, I don't want to do that kind of thing anymore because I already consider you all as friends. After hearing Xiu Zhi's speech, everyone thought over. No one wanted their classmate, who they had to be with every day, to become the victim of rational bullying. The situation at this time completely exceeded Jie Lin's expectations. One after another, students uninstalled and stood up. Just one person was missing to transform the game. Unexpectedly, the green-haired girl chose betrayal. She wanted revenge on Jie Lin, who had always treated her as a gun. But what the next person didn't expect was that Xiu Zhi actually overruled the opponent's TP, indicating that she no longer belonged to the class. This made the green-haired girl who wanted to give Jie Lin a heavy blow immediately furious. She rushed up and wanted to tear Xiu Zhi's mouth apart. It turns out Xiu Zhi intentionally used words to make the green-haired girl CJ. Because she had already installed SX heads in the class early, evidence of bullying is live. The irrational green-haired girl still wanted to continue venting her anger. But unexpectedly, Xian caught her. She didn't counterattack not because she was weaker than the other party, but because guilt towards Jie Lin became Xian's shackle. This made her willingly endure retaliation from Jie Lin. Just then, another person uninstalled the game. It turned out to be Yishu Daoya, who was unwilling to step out of AQ range. Xiu Zhi had approached her before, hoping she could help within the AQ range, but she didn't expect Daoya to stand up in front of Jie Lin. In this way, under Xiu Zhi's efforts, half of the students agreed to terminate the game. Jie Lin's carefully established level division system also collapsed with the collapse of the pyramid. When Xiu Zhi announced the abolition of the game, whether they had just stood on whose side, the students all felt relieved. Only Jie Lin seemed to be holding onto something tightly, unwilling to let go. On the other hand, Brother Hacker also arrived at the school. Taking advantage of the gap when the school leaders were looking for SX heads, he quietly sneaked into the office, copied the evidence that the class teacher fabricated the scores for some students. This incident soon attracted public attention. Even the family couldn't control Wile's FX. Daoya's father suppressed his anger, while the green-haired girl's father wanted to kill his daughter himself. At the same time, Xiu Zhi took the students to the hospital. It turns out that Yilin did not suffer serious injuries. At that time, she was talking with Yinjin, who was about to become SS. She was completely unaware that she had already been targeted by a small bear. Fortunately, at a critical moment, Yulai appeared and kicked the Sassen fan to the ground with one foot. Su Ji didn't tell anyone about this, but instead exaggerated it to arouse the fear and anger of her classmates. After coming out of the hospital, Su Ji went to the convenience store and told Hacker Brother that Yuri came to school today. After hearing this, Hacker Brother quickly ran to find his sister. It turned out that Yuri saw the updates posted by the Sassang fans on the internet, and the Sassang fans threatened to punish Yiren for smiling at others. This gave her the courage to walk out of the room. Just like that, when the sunshine was defeated by the haze, Yulai's brother tried his best to clear it away for her. After the pyramid game was cancelled, Shilin found her mother and hoped that she could transfer her to another school. Next morning, Jie Lin waited at Jian's house and asked her if she had seen the comments online. Everyone was curious about whether they were mentally deteriorating. She asked Jian if she felt the same way. Jian, who was saved by her friends, walked away, leaving Jie Lin, who had not yet gotten over the hatred, trapped there. On the other side, the effects of the bullying incident gradually escalated. Soon, Jian High School was surrounded by reporters. At this time, Xiu Zhi's father learned from the news that his daughter was bullied. He asked Xiu Zhi why she didn't tell him. However, his daughter said that it was her father who said that when encountering problems, she should develop the habit of overcoming difficulties. After hearing this, Xiu Zhi's father suddenly realized that there seemed to be something wrong with his way of education. He always thought that his sensible daughter could handle everything, so he didn't ask too much about Xiu Zhi's campus life. However, this made him completely unaware that his daughter had also sent him a signal for help. In the days that followed, Jialin didn't go to school and stayed in her room all day. She could only rely on Yiw's reprieve to maintain sleep. Until this day, Jian received a call from Jialin, asking her to meet at an orphanage called Sky House. Xiu Zhi followed her worriedly and hence vaguely learned about their past. That day, Jialin brought Jian to an orphanage called Sky House and told her that this was her home. It turned out that Jialin lost her parents at a young age. She grew up in an orphanage and was particularly sensible and hardworking. In addition, she had a beautiful appearance, which made teachers and classmates like her very much. However, this also caused some classmates to be jealous of Jialin, and they always said all kinds of bad things about her behind her back. Her good friend Jian wanted to persuade them, but who knew that he accidentally revealed Jialin's secret. However, this seemingly harmless action actually dragged Jialin closer to the bottomless abyss of pain. From then on, classmates began to bully Jialin because she had no parents and no one to rely on. The cowardly Jian did not have the courage to step forward to stop them. Just like this, Jialin had a new goal. All she needed was an opportunity. During a game in the orphanage that day, Jialin came into contact with the prototype of the pyramid. The teacher took out photos of the senior executives of Bayan Group and asked who everyone should please first. The classmates raised their hands to answer, but Jialin was stunned and didn't know how to choose. So as expected, she became the last one. The students in front of her with 5 votes had their plates full of meat. However, she only had 1 vote, but the side dish was only 3 carrots. She was punished by the teacher and was not allowed to cover herself with a blanket when she slept that day. This made Jialin understand the importance of rank, until one day Jialin overheard the meeting of Xian Group and asked her to come to the ceremony. She tried her best to show herself on the stage, and her eyes full of determination became the key to her being noticed by the Chaebol grandmother. From then on, Jialin's fate began to turn. When she came to Chaebol family, Jialin tried to please her adoptive mother, but it was obvious that she was not welcomed at all. Even the tutor dared to yell at her. Seeing her granddaughter's submissive appearance, the grandmother WB, who hated cowardice, was disappointed. Fortunately, Jialin had engraved pleasing into her bones. She copied the Bible that her grandmother believed in according to her grandmother's wishes. Even if her wrists were sore, she would not stop until her eyes were bloodshot and she lay on the ground. However, she copied like this for 8 years. Jialin also became overbearing and domineering. Grandma was very satisfied with this work, but this was an unforgettable pain in Jialin's life. Last year on the steps of the main building, it turned out that the two met again a year ago. Cian asked Jialin if she was doing well. Looking at your face without any guilt. I really want to tear it apart bit by bit. That's why I put you in F. I want to spend my whole life for reasons you will never know. Torture you to death. Do you understand me now? Jialin said. As soon as the words faded, the alarm sounded, and then thick smoke slowly seeped out from behind. It turned out that Jialin had already made preparations for a life and death struggle and wanted to drag the 2 people who made her miserable to be buried together with her. Suddenly there was a loud crack and Jialin fell in the billowing smoke. However, this time Jian didn't even think about it and rushed into the fire regardless of her own safety. In this way, the 3 of them luckily escaped a disaster. Jian also confided in Xiu Zhi that she didn't want to get close to everyone at the beginning because she was afraid that others would know what she had done to Jialin. The police also came to the school to investigate and collect evidence. Without exception, no one dared to confront the Xian group. They all chose to play word games to avoid the main issue. In this way, the incident was forcibly reversed under the drive of financial power. Xiu Zhi was also taken away by the police for further investigation. Good friends knew that this was not a solution, and they all chose to speak for Xiu Zhi in their own way. Yilin gave up the opportunity to debut and made the facts public as a participant in the game. And the crazy girl also found a reporter to tell Z. Everyone could not help but fight against the overwhelming power. They were unwilling to be the indifferent bystander. However, the evidence provided by ZZ or teacher Yin played a crucial role in Xiu Zhi. It turned out that her colleague contacted her when the incident just happened. Previously, her colleague accidentally filmed the SP of Zhi being bullied, but she didn't dare to stand up due to various pressures. So this time she wanted to borrow teacher Yin's hand to help her guilty conscience find a trace of redemption. Once the SP was announced, all the rumors about Xiu Zhi being a bully were broken. In order to let more people receive the due punishment, Yulai also revealed her wounds and told about her experience of being bullied. In this way, the college was set on fire again. The principal was detained by 5 for accepting bribes in TW, and the head teacher was taken away by the police for covering up the facts. The green-haired girl was still abused by her father. Yulei was frightened every day and suffered from mental illness. The judo girl lost the qualification to participate in the national competition. The big-faced girl was exposed and suffered from online BL. Only the sloppy girl was still strong, standing at the university gate and shouting that she was wronged. In order to prevent the group from being implicated, Xia Lin's father immediately cut off his relationship with his adopted daughter. On the other hand, the resolute father Xiu Zhi finally let go and said the belated apology to his daughter. Xiu Zhi was unwilling to be a bystander anymore, because this experience made her finally understand that bystanders are actually a wall that protects the perpetrators. The vicious and cruel but somehow pitiful Xia Lin was abandoned and fainted in a mental hospital. This will be the punishment that Xia Lin will accept, being watched by others without any concern. Because she is trapped there, no one is curious about her and no one is looking for her. The end. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and like the video to help our channel out.